right? Once you configure the MySQL to connect to the MySQL, so you need to go take a terminal. Okay, so now go to the some directories where cd/where. Okay, login as an admin, root user. Okay, run the process mysqld underscore safe. Okay, so which will start the MySQL process in the machine, right? So just write mysqld underscore safe space ampersand, press enter. Right now it will start the MySQL daemon in this VM. Okay, so MySQL is running fine. Now take another terminal to connect to MySQL. Okay, so now write MySQL hyphen u, username is a root and its password is a p. It will ask the password, enter the root, press enter. Right now we have connected to the MySQL. So just write use show databases to see what are the databases are available, right? So you will have one database, the database name is test, right? Just write use test to connect to the test, right? So we got it, data we have connected to a database test to see the tables, show tables. Okay, so these are all the tables we're having, right? So what we do now, so we use a Sqoop to perform import and exporting the data between RDBMS and SDFS, right? So now I'm taking the another terminal. So what, three terminals, one terminal for the MySQL, this one for the Sqoop. Okay, so if you write Sqoop space version, okay, so it will display the Sqoop version, right? So where Sqoop is configured, so just go to cd usr and in a directory lib. Okay, ls. Now see, this is the Sqoop home. Okay, so here in this place all the Sqoop binaries, Sqoop executables are available. You can see cd Sqoop ls. Okay, so now, so this is the connector, Abhishek. So
Yeah,
download the connector from the website. I'll
sure.
share in the document this link. Either
Mm-hmm.
it can be
Mm-hmm.
MySQL connector or it can be Oracle or it can be SQL server, right? Just what you have to do, download the connector from the website and copy
Mm-hmm.
the connector to the Sqoop directory.
Yeah,
That's
I
it,
think so. I did
right?
it.
So there is no other step. Just download and copy it to this place. That's it. Right now Sqoop is configured and you get the connector. Okay, if you want to see the Sqoop binaries, go to cd bin and press enter ls. Now see, these are all the Sqoop commands which are available. Okay, now
Okay.
okay, so right now see, this is a Sqoop, right? So just cd dot dot, so we have a Sqoop configuration file. The Sqoop configuration file is Sqoop hyphen site.xml. If you go to the cd conf, okay,
Okay.
ls, now you'll get the file Sqoop hyphen site.xml. Can you able to see this file? So
Yeah,
this is
yeah,
the
yeah, correct.
Sqoop's configuration file where we'll find all the Sqoop configurations dot xml, right? So here we have to specify which database we are using. Suppose if you are not using rdbms, mysql rdbms,
Mm-hmm.
right? So now, so these are all the properties for the mysql and the Sqoop, right? To make clear, I'll open in a text editor dot xml, press enter, right? So this is the Sqoop configuration file. Okay, Sqoop connection factories, which is a Sqoop connection is available here. Now we can define Sqoop metastore is available in this Sqoop hidden directory. Okay, right? Sqoop metastore is running on the port number 1600. So this is generally Sqoop configuration file, right? Quit clear. Okay, now see, right? So we
Okay.
have the connector is available, right? Now I just want to see how to connect to MySQL to see what are the databases are there in MySQL, right? So we have to write the Sqoop connection string, right? How to write the connection string? So just I'll show you. So either it can be a Sqoop, or it can, so either it can be a MySQL or Oracle or SQL server. Okay,
Okay.
so now write the connection string, something now. So write Sqoop, then so Sqoop command you have to write. Okay, so whenever you are trying to connect to the Sqoop, so you have to follow this syntax, right? So
Okay.
Sqoop command in the sense, if you take a terminal, if you write Sqoop space help, right? So these are the available Sqoop commands. Okay, so apart
Mm-hmm.
from this you won't get any other command.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
Oh,
Sqoop command, these are the Sqoop commands,
okay.
right? Right, so now these are all the Sqoop commands. Okay, now I just want to see list database is a command which we can able to see what are the databases are available in a MySQL. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
whatever it may be, so first you have to write the Sqoop space Sqoop command. Okay, after that you have to write the connection string,
Connection.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So the connection string specifies how to connect to the database, right? So
Mm-hmm.
first we'll see how to write the connection string. To write the connection string, so you have to start connect. Okay, so right, it's every either it can be Hortonworks, or it can be a mapper, or it can be a Cloudera, right? So the Sqoop or the writing, the commands are the same. Okay, so just you have to follow the same syntax, either you're working in your office or you're working in a quick start em, right? It's the same kind of syntax, right? Where the difference comes, I'll just show you. Okay, write the connection string, and when you're connecting, by default Sqoop uses a JDBC communication method because it's all written in Java. So write connect JDBC colon, and which database you are trying to connect to here. Now in I have started MySQL, so I want to connect to the MySQL. So here write the database name. Okay, JDBC connection, and write the RDBMS, right? Which RDBMS you are
Mm-hmm.
trying to connect to. Write the RDBMS, right? In which machine RDBMS is configured, right? Where RDBMS is available, right? Now you have to write the host name of the node where MySQL is available. You have to write the host name of the machine where you're trying to connect to, right? Where MySQL is available. In my case, it is a local host. Okay, so I'm writing here local host. Suppose in your office when you're working, then you have to write the host name of the machine which you're trying to connect to. Okay, so
Okay.
that's what you would write Sqoop command, then write the connection string in the sense write connect JDBC colon MySQL colon, then write the host name. So here my case host name is the local host, right? Write the host name. Now, right, so if you want to see the databases, write the databases. You want to see what are the databases are available in a MySQL localhost, just write this command. Okay, so now we'll see Sqoop space, then Sqoop command. I want to see what are the databases are available. So the command is list databases. Okay, easy,
Okay.
right? Just copy this and run this in a Sqoop terminal. Okay, edit paste. So I wrote the command Sqoop space list databases. So I just want to connect to the MySQL through the JDBC connection, right? Where MySQL is available? MySQL is available in a local host. Press enter. Right now it's connected to the MySQL, and so these are the databases which are available in the MySQL database. MySQL RDBMS. One database name is this one, and other one is test. Okay, but you can see here we'll have the other databases too, but the user which we are connected to is having access to only these two databases, right? So I just specified this one and this one, and it's not specified available for this user root, so that it's enabled, we have not displayed. Okay, so just wait. So to see the tables in a database, now I just want to see what are the tables in a database. Okay, then write
List
Sqoop
table.
space. So what to write, Santosh? First write Sqoop, then
List table.
then write list tables, and after that
Connection.
write the connection string connect. Santosh, there.
JDBC MySQL.
Just again. Okay, suppose now either you want to import a table, right? Just write Sqoop space. So the command, the which command you are using, write the command Sqoop space Sqoop command. Then you have to write the connection string. So don't forget this syntax every time. Suppose you're trying to connect to SQL server, right? So what you have to do, suppose your client is using SQL server, then just download the SQL Sqoop SQL server connected, right? So get this connected. Okay, it's a SQL server connector, right? So by provided by whom? Microsoft will provide this. Okay, so get the connector, right? Download the connector. So when you download the connector is available in the downloads folder, right? What you have to do now, you have to copy this connector to right Sqoop home, right, under user lib. Suppose if you are trying to do connector for the Teradata, Sqoop Teradata connector is available, right, for the Teradata connector. So we have the two types of connectors are available. One connector is provided by the Cloudera. Sqoop Teradata connector from the Cloudera is available, and Teradata is also providing the one more connector, right? So you can use any connector to connect to from Sqoop to the Teradata RDBMS, right? So one is a connector which is available from the Cloudera's. So this is the Cloudera connector, right? So which you connect to the Teradata from the Sqoop, right? So this connector is provided by Cloudera. Okay. Otherwise, you can get the connector from the Teradata website. So this is the Teradata connector for Hadoop. So this connector is provided by the Teradata. So you can use any connector to connect to Sqoop and Teradata, right? Similarly, so either it can be a right any RDBMS. So if it is available, get it. Otherwise, you have to manually develop that. Okay. Now see, now I want to import the data from the MySQL database to right SDFS. So what is my requirement? I have to perform the import. So when you're going to import, right, before that, just see, now write the command. Okay, Sqoop import. Right now, decide from what
Connection
is your
string.
database, from where you have to connect. So just write Sqoop. Sqoop command is right. You wrote the Sqoop command. Then what you would write? You would write the Sqoop connection string. Correct. So the connection string to connect to the database. So hyphen hyphen connect Sqoop import connect. So then JDBC colon mysql colon slash slash localhost. Right now, what I want to do now here, I want to import the data from the RDBMS to MySQL. Right? See, just remember this. So what we are doing, we are importing, right, data or records from MySQL to SDFS. Right? So when you are doing this, so we have to consider, so first thing, whether its enabled table in MySQL is enabled by primary key or not. So first you should know that, right? So when it is enabled primary key, or if it is not enabled by the primary key. And second one, remember, when you're trying to importing to SDFS, right, what it will do, it will create a directory. Okay, so what is the name of the directory? The table name, right? It create a directory with a table name, right? It create a directory with the table name, right? Under the table name, it will generate a part file. Okay, so the data which is imported from the RDBMS to the SDFS will be available in a part file, right? So the part file will have something like part hyphen m hyphen 5 zeros, right? How many part files are going to be created? So whenever we are trying to import the data, so we have to specify the number of mappers we are going to run to retrieve the data. We have to specify the number of mappers, how many number of mappers you want to run. Suppose, so there are 1 lakh records are there, right? So it's a simple calculation, right? When we did in fourth standard, suppose if a one person can able to work in the 10 days, then how many 10 people can finish the work in how many days, right? It's 1 day. Suppose if I write the number of mappers 1 and I want to retrieve 1 lakh records from the MySQL, so all one mapper will connect to the MySQL and it will retrieve all the rows from the MySQL to SDFS. Only one mapper has to do this. So if you are using one mapper, so that one mapper will create a one part file. Each mapper will create its own part file, right? Suppose if I am having the number of mappers are 4, I specified number of mappers, means in the sense, as of now, think that number of processes you're running simultaneously to retrieve the data from the RDBMS, right? As of now, think that mappers are 4, means you're running simultaneous 4 processes to retrieve the data from the RDBMS to SDFS. So I wrote number of mappers. Here we have a rule, right? What is the rule? Means number of mappers. So we have to use only one mapper, right? We have to use only one mapper when, if table is not enabled by the primary key. Okay, so because if the table is not enabled by the primary key, so how to distribute the work to the 10 people? Suppose I can say that there are the 1 lakh records are there, 4 mappers, means mapper 1 will take one record name 1 to 24,999, and the second mapper will take 25,000 to 49,999. Third mapper will take 50,000 to 74,999. Fourth mapper will take 75 to 1 lakh. If you are having the table is enabled by the primary, so that we can divide the job based upon the some ID. But if the table is not enabled by the primary key, suppose you have a table something like username, right, product name, right? So now if you want to specify the number of mappers on this kind of table, it's a difficult, right? So username, some name will have, so nobody is a primary key, so it's no constraint is defined. It's difficult for right? So for this kind of the data, right, we'll run only the one mapper. Suppose if here we have some id is there, and if you define id is a primary key, then we can able to run a multiple mappers. So what you have to remember, a simple one line statement. If your RDBMS table is enabled by the primary key, we can able to run multiple mappers. If table is not enabled by the primary key, we have to run only one mapper. Okay, simple. So just before importing, just find out whether the table is enabled by the primary key. Now, so if the table is enabled by the primary key, we can able to use multiple mappers. So how many mappers we are using now? Four mappers. So how many part files are going to be created? It will create four part files. Like, so it will have something. First part file is part hyphen m hyphen 0050, and second part file will have something, part hyphen m hyphen 00001. So like this. So how many number of mappers are using? That number of part files are going to be created. So suppose there are the 1 lakh records are there. So first 25 records are available in the first part file. Next 25 records are available in the next part file. So likewise, so third part file contains remaining 25, and fourth part file contains last 25,000 records. So like this, the data is going to be retrieved. So when we use number of mappers, we use number of mappers when table is enabled by the primary key. If the table is not enabled by the primary key, can we able to run the number of mappers? No, we cannot able to run the number of mappers. So we have to use always only one mapper, right? So you have to identify this, right? So whether the table is enabled by the primary key or not, and where you are going to import. So importing to the SDFS, if you're not specified, so whenever you are going to import, so it will import to a SDFS under what is the table name becomes the directory name here. Under the directory name, a part file is going to be created. That part file contains the data. Suppose you're importing to a SDFS with a multiple mappers, then it will create the multiple part files. Each part file will have its specific amount of specific number of rows, which one that mapper is retrieved from the RDBMS. Okay, so we'll see this in the execution, right? Now we can specify this one too. A second. Right, suppose where you are going to import, right, you want to import to SDFS or a specific directory, right? We have to specify specific directory, right? We can able to import to a specific location in SDFS, not the default SDFS location. I want import all the records of the table to a specific directory. So you should know that where you are going to import, from where you are going to import, and where in SDFS you are getting, right? That we specify in a specific directory. So I'm going to run this command. It's a simple. First we'll see the Sqoop. Okay, then you have to write the Sqoop command. What is the Sqoop command here? Import. So I want to import the records, so just write Sqoop space import. Then what you write, you have to write the connection string, so that is connect. So how you are going to connect, which method it is using? It is using JDBC connection. So just write the JDBC. Now which database you are trying to connect to? I am trying to connect to MySQL, so I wrote here MySQL. So where MySQL is configured in my system, MySQL is configured in a local host, so I am writing here the local host. From where you are trying to import, I'm trying to import the data from the test database, so I wrote the database name. From which table you want to import, that is right here, the table name, right? So which table, some pick one table here, right? So I'm show tables if you write. Okay, so just I want to import this slide data. Okay, so I'm going to import from the slide data. Before that, I'm make sure that we don't have any slide data directories available in SDFS. I'm going to delete that. Okay, right? So what is the table name? The table name is slide data, right? If the table is enabled by the primary key, check here. So if you write describe slide data, right, do this table is enabled by the primary key? Yes, right? So it's a primary keys which fill serial number, right? So can you able to run the multiple mappers? Yes, right? So then write the table is the slide data, right? So now specify how many number of mappers you want to run. 4. Okay, so I'm going to run this command now. Got it? Just write the command and now press enter. The database name is test and the table name is slide data. Number of mappers are 4. Right? So how many part files are going to be created now? 4 part files. Where this importing the records are taking the place under the Cloudera directory. So it will create a directory with the name slide data. Under the slide data directory, it will create 4 part files. Okay, so it retrieved 880 records. Now where we find these records? I'm taking on the terminal for the SDFS activities. So I'm going to see this into the directory. So just write Hadoop space fs-ls, right? So where you have to see this, it will create a directory, right? What is the directory name? The directory name is the table name, right? So the table name is slide data, Hadoop fs-ls slide data, right? Now it will create a 4 part files. Can you able to see this now? Right, part file 0, part file 1, part file 2, part file 3, 0 1 to total 4 part files are going to be created, right? So you can see the data Hadoop FSF and cat. So then slide data slash part hyphen m hyphen 0000, press enter, right? So this is up to 220. Right, now I am going to take part file 1, right? It will have some 221 onwards, right? The last one is 440, right? Now 2, right? We have up to 660. Now the last one 3, right? So remaining are available in, right, last part file, right? Total 880, right? So it will create a 4 part files. So why it is created the 4 part files? Because I have used the 4 mappers. If you use 5 mappers, then it will create the 5 part files. If you use 1 mapper, it will create the 1 part file. So can we, if it is a table is enabled by the primary key, we can able to specify multiple mappers. If the table is not enabled by the primary key, we have to use only 1 mapper, right? So I just want to show a test run. Suppose here I just want import again and I'm not specifying the number of mappers. Okay, so we'll see what the error will get. I'm going, just I have not specified the number of mappers. Okay, so now it will try to connect to when it is trying to retrieve, right? See, it's it cannot able to this again, right? The file already exists exception, right? Because already we have created directory slide data, right? It's already there. So whenever you're trying to import, so what it will do, it will create a directory name. It will create a directory name. What is the table name? So the directory is going to be created. So now we are trying to import the table slide data. So what it will do, it will try to create a directory in SDFS with the name slide data, but already in the previous run it created directory slide data. So it is saying that file already exists exception. Okay, so then if you delete this, right? Now there is no slide data directory is there in SDFS. Now in this import, right, it will try to create a directory with the name slide data.
Ajay, is there any limitation to define number of mappers in a Sqoop?
Yes, right. Based upon how many, right, the size of the data you're running. So how many number
Mhm.
of resources are available. Based on that, we have to specify the number of mappers.
Okay, so how that calculation is done?
Yes, just a second. I'll let you know.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, sure, sure, sure.
So right now, I'll take some database, some table, show tables. Okay, now so here if it is the table is enabled by the primary key, so what I did, I just specify the sqoop import connection string and I wrote the table name to the import, right? So what it did, so a directory is created, right? So the directory name is slide data fsfnls. So one part file is going to be, four part files are going to be created. Okay, I'm taking some other table name, right? So the table is not enabled by the primary key, right? Let me check with select DACX1. Okay, so is there any primary keys there? No, right? Right, so now I'm taking a table which is not enabled by the primary key, right? If you write select star from x1, okay, so we have some data is there. Okay, so I'm writing the table name is x1 and I'm trying to import. So what is the error here? No primary key could not be found for the table x1, right? Correct. So what is saying that just perform a sequential import with number of mappers should be run 1. I'll do in a different way. Right now I'm going to specify the multiple mappers. Now I'm going to give 4 mappers. Right here x1 is not enabled by the primary key. In the first turn I did not specify any mappers. When I did not specify any mappers, it will try to assign the default mappers 4, right? Because if the table is enabled by the primary key, the default number of mappers are 4. So it took the 4 mappers and it will import the records to SDFS. Now here x1 is a table is not enabled by the primary key. Now, so now I want to specify the number of mappers are 4. Press enter. Okay, so it's saying that so only use one mapper, either use one mapper or specify split by, right? In the right imported definition, either you have to use one mapper or you have to specify how you want to split the table, right? So now I'm going to use only one mapper, right? When you are going to use one mapper, what it will do now, it will create a one part file. So first it will create a directory, the direct name is x1. So in the directory x1 it will create a part file. The part file is will with the name part hyphen m hyphen 5 zeros, right? What is the error here? It's saying that file already exists exception, right? So delete x1, otherwise specify some specific directory. Okay, so I right? And now I want to import to a specific directory. Just write target hyphen dir. Okay, I want to create a directory with a name, some name, right? A. Okay, now it will try to create a directory A. Okay, so what happens? Right, retrieve zero records because it's unable to create a directory in SDFS. Right. So what is the error here? Permission denied. So for the user, Cloudera is doesn't have the write privileges on this node. Okay, so right target there. I'm just giving a directory name. So new x1 import. Okay, it will retrieve 5 records. Where these records are available now under the SDFS directory is going to be created. The direct name is a new x1 import. I specified explicitly, right? Import to this particular directory. So all the rows from the RDBMS are imported to the SDFS directory. New x1 import, right? Just check here. Right, Hadoop FS7 ls. So new x1 import, right now. So a one part file is going to be created. You can see here part hyphen m hyphen 00 cat. Okay, so now we can retrieve 5 records, right? You can check from the browser here too. Just go to 50070 for the name node, 50075. So under user Cloudera, right, the directory name is new x1 import, right? Can you able to see this when it is created just now, right, in the new x1 import. So you can able to see a part file. If you click this part file, now we can able to see the data. Okay, so this is how we are importing the records from the MySQL to SDFS.